Hello everyone and welcome. Last time we were in Azerbaijan traveling east towards Baku, trying to get to Caspian Sea where we have a ferry crossing. Today we will be entering Turkmenistan. It's amazing in Turkmenistan and the landscape is really beautiful, but trying to capture the landscape, turning around with the camera, I'll get involved with some stupid mistakes, and approaching Ashgabat, we will have some problems with some sort of a bug. And as I usually do, I'll be rambling along. This time, I will be giving you some interesting facts about these countries we are traveling through, and I hope it will be fun and we'll learn something. Let's get going first. I think we are pretty close to the port anyway. It will be a short travel before we get to the ferry. It is actually so close that instead of taking a break and sleeping here, we could just drive to the ferry and rest through the crossing and not lose any time with it. Anyway, I didn't know and it is too late to change that. So before we leave it, let me tell you some interesting things about this country. It is a relatively small country, but it has a lot going for it. It has quite a history and a very interesting and in some cases maybe even bizarre geography. So what is interesting about its geography? First of all, it is a landlocked country. It doesn't have any access to open sea. However, it is located on the coast of the largest inland body of water in the world. So, despite being landlocked, it has 713 kilometers, about 443 miles long coast along the Caspian Sea. The country was controlled by Russia from 1828 to 1991. For a while, it was independent from 1918 to 1920, and that period was because of the Russian Revolution. But then it was invaded again and absorbed into USSR. In 1991, it gained its full independence after the fall of USSR. There is this interesting fact. In 1848-49, the world's first oil well was drilled in Azerbaijan. It happened somewhere south of Baku. It was the first oil well in the world. Speaking of oil, the region actually has quite a lot of quirky things going on because of its natural resources. For example, Azerbaijan is known and advertises itself as the land of fire, and it's not just a slogan type of thing. There is actually a reason for it, and it is that the land is sometimes literally on fire. Let me explain. First of all, Azerbaijan has very rich oil and natural gas resources. There are many spots where they have natural gas reaching to the surface, and if the conditions are right or if someone sets it on fire, it will catch fire and keep burning. There is an actual fire hazard in the country. Out of nowhere, some fire can start with a lightning or something, and it's not happening because a dry season and the right conditions combine together to make it happen as it normally happens. It can literally burn like pit of hell in Turkmenistan without any vegetation coming out between some rocks, and you can literally see nothing that should be burning, but it is on fire. And meanwhile, we just arrived at the ferry. Here we go across the Caspian Sea and arrive in Turkmenistan. Let's see how many hours is it. I'm pretty sure instead of taking the break earlier. Yeah, look at that. 17 hours. That's more than enough time for resting, and now we will be rested again. We simply just wasted time. Anyway, let's go to Turkmenistan. And here we are. We have some nice daylight. It's good weather. We will drive through some really nice places and talk about Turkmenistan as well, but let me finish the Azerbaijan first. We came to the port pretty quickly, and there are still a few things I'd like to mention before we continue with Turkmenistan. So let's see, another interesting fact about Azerbaijan, and you guessed it, again, It is about oil. So turns out world's oldest offshore oil rig is also in Azerbaijan. They call it the Oil Rocks. It's pretty much a small city kind of thing, and it was built on stilts above the Caspian Sea, and the platform or the city is located 55 kilometers, about 34 miles from the coast, and it was built by the Soviets in 1949, and it even has hotels, hostels, bakeries, and whatever. I mean, it is pretty much a town built on stilts. So we have a lot of gas, a lot of oil, a lot of interesting things going on. What else is missing? The volcanoes, but not your typical ones. They have a lot of mud volcanoes in Azerbaijan. Actually, it is more than 400, and more than anywhere else. No other country has more mud volcanoes than Azerbaijan within its borders. And they erupt a very thick gray colored mud. Another very interesting one is kind of bonkers. There is a theory that suggests Vikings originated in Azerbaijan. I know it sounds messed up, but hear me out. So it is a disputed theory. It stems from an 800 plus year old Icelandic saga that mentions the Norse god Odin migrated to Scandinavia from an eastern land called Asho or Azer, which has been interpreted as Azerbaijan. And also local historical sources depict ships similar to the longboats used by Vikings, but actually predating the Vikings. Not a strong theory probably, it is disputed, and I assume it would be pretty hard to prove it. But interesting nonetheless. I think we talked enough about Azerbaijan, and we have been traveling in Turkmenistan for a while now. The landscape is interesting. We have a very wide open landscape, big roads, and nice weather. For now it looks okay, but I'm actually curious to see how well developed these map extensions are, because they are covering vast areas. It would take a lot of work to put in a really complex road network with all the cities and all the landscaping. It would take a lot of time for sure. So I'm curious to see how much they worked on it and what it looks like. So we will roll it for a while now, make some progress and enjoy the views. And after that I'll be back with some interesting facts, some interesting information about Turkmenistan. So enjoy, and I'll catch you in a bit. Look at this landscape, it's pretty nice actually, I really liked it. Let's look around a bit. Is that, oh, you didn't see nothing. That was nothing. See, everything is cool, we are on our way, nothing happened. Let's keep going. We should get some gas. It should be dirt cheap, I think, because you know what? Just like Azerbaijan, Turkmenistan is an oil and natural gas rich country. And look at that price. It's like almost nothing. Let's fill it up and keep going. That's an amazing price. I'm impressed. It is getting dark and we are headed towards the capital of the country, Ashgabat. There's quite a bit of traffic. I actually turned off the realistic traffic mode, but I don't know why. It keeps getting very busy and sometimes very empty. Let's talk about Turkmenistan a little bit. We have been driving through a desert for a while. It's called the Karakum Desert, which makes up to about 70% of the whole land, and the country is located on the historical trade route Silk Road and has quite an old culture. The door to hell is probably one of the most known thing of the country. It's a fire pit in Turkmenistan, which has been burning for over 50 years now. It was created after a mining accident in 1971, which led to a crater opening and start venting gas. And it started burning at some point, and they thought it would burn just a day or two and it would then extinguish itself or something. I don't know what the exact theory was, but in the end it kept burning for over 50 years now and still on fire. The country is also home to Akalteke, I hope that's how it's pronounced, which is one of the best horse breeds in the world, or at least one of the most beautiful, I would say, from the looks of it. Everything seems cool and nice, but that's until you look at the state in Turkmenistan. It's a very closed, secretive country Some even consider it as a dictatorship, and actually the country has quite some similarities with North Korea. They are building these giant statues of the leaders all over the place. They have weird rules. They don't want tourists. The leader has some silly demands. Like, for example, he wrote a book and he expects everyone in the country to learn it, know it by heart, and even pass exams answering questions about it. Basically, everyone has to do as they are told. And the leader also has an obsession with world records. The Guinness World Records book is one of his favorite things, I guess. And he does a lot of weird stuff to get some weird world records. For example, in Ashgabat there is over 500 buildings completely covered with marble, white marble. And it is a world record for that. And I guess it is called something like the city with highest number of buildings covered with white marble or something. I'm not sure. Something like that. And the funny thing is, they are all empty. Nobody is living in them. They even tried changing names of the months and name them after themselves or their titles or mother's name or whatever they came up with. In Ashgabat, streets are empty. You are not allowed to drive a car if it is dirty. You can see workers cleaning streets that no one uses anyway and is completely clean anyway. And if you want to visit the place, like I said earlier, they don't like and they don't want tourists. Getting even a short-term visa is very hard, and things are running so slow and complicated that by the time you get your visa, it might be half spent or completely expired. So if you ever consider that, make your research and know what you're doing and what to expect. Anyway, let's leave all that aside and focus on the positives. The landscape is very beautiful. Though it's getting dark right now, we are not seeing much, but there will be more for sure. I don't exactly know, but I would think that they might have some interesting food. The horses are beautiful. They are making some really high quality handmade, very nice carpets. I remember something weird again. Despite being up to 70% or so desert and lacking water, I think again in Ashgabat they have the highest number of fountains in a city record, if I'm not mistaken. Actually, if you haven't seen it, John Oliver's take on Turkmenistan's president Gurbanguly Berdimuhamedov, damn, that's a mouthful, was really hilarious. If you haven't seen it, I really recommend you to go watch it. It is quite informative. You would learn a lot of things about Turkmenistan, but it's also very critical and hilarious, and he makes a lot of jokes about the president and pushes his buttons, attacking everything he is insecure about. Then he reveals a giant cake to end the show, breaking the world record for that, just to mock the guy. That was great. Meanwhile, speaking of the city, we are here, just arrived. It would be better if it was daytime, but I think we should be able to see it if they built the city as it is. I'm curious, where are these 500 something white marble buildings? Streets are empty so far. It's kind of fishy. Is there any other car around? Oh yeah, behind me. There is some traffic still. Well, it looks white. I guess we are getting somewhere. Yeah, that's definitely white. Well, turns out he doesn't want us in there either. Not gonna try again. What happened is that just at that point the game crashed in Ashgabat. I thought it's a random crash, so I loaded the game from the last save point, which is this spot here, and drove all the way back there, and it crashed again, so I thought maybe it's because of some mods. I tried some different things and loaded the game again and drove all the way back there again, and it kept crashing. I think I did it like 4 or 5 times. Turns out there's a bug with the map extension. If you try to go through Ashgabat, it keeps crashing. There is a fix, but it is complicated and I gave up. I changed the route and we will go around Ashgabat. We will not go through it. We will not see the world record breaking amazing white marble buildings. Such a pity, but what can I do? I tried. Still, I think it has been a cool one. I'm not sure if the videos are getting any better or worse, but I'm trying different things. As I said in the first ones, that I'll be trying different things and learning how to create content and how to improve on things that I'm not good at. I'd like to think that I'm making progress, but time will show, I guess. I think we should start rolling. Uncle Joe is getting tired. We also need to find a rest station. It is already dark and will get even darker. Meanwhile, we can make some progress. So, let's go. So we just arrived in a town. There is a repair workshop. I think we can repair the truck, and there should also be a spot for parking and resting. I guess that will do. If not, there is also a gas station on the left side, so we have options. I think it's been a nice journey in Turkmenistan so far. Yeah, we had a bug. We couldn't go through Ashgabat. After talking so much about it, we didn't see anything. But except that, it was nice. Really beautiful landscape. I tried to share some interesting information about these places we are driving through. I hope you enjoyed it. You found something interesting in it that you didn't know before. And I hope to see you around for more. With that, we just arrived at the workshop. I'm gonna go try to repair the truck first. Let's see what we got. Yeah, there is some damage. I think the orange or yellow part is the wear and tear. That's not going to be changing unless you completely change the parts. If you repair, it just takes the damage. The wear and tear stays. So yeah, let's go park it on the left and we can call it a day. In the next one, we will continue our journey in Turkmenistan. I don't know if we will make it to the next country or if I'll come up with something better to talk about, but we'll keep pushing. That's for sure. Till then, take care.